Yeah. We doing it, man. We doing it, Coach.
But with no further ado, I'd like to welcome you to Coach's Corner, Basketball March Madness Edition. I'm your co-host, Rocky Miller, along with the Rattler myself, Mr. Stephen Campbell. And our featured host, the man who not only played football at Texas Southern, but also was a letterman at basketball at TSU, was the quarterback and point guard. With no further ado, I'd like to welcome and introduce my man, Mr. Johnnie Cole. What's going on, Coach Cole?
Man, it's great, man, to see you guys. And I tell you what, man, I want to take my hat off to this man over here, Mr. Campbell, the Rattler. Man, I tell you, he's on us. He's making sure that we keep this thing going, and he reach out and he keep us informed on what's going on in sports, man. So I want to take this time, the Bishop, say, man, I'm so glad you're on our team and not against us.
You know the thing about it, now that Scotty has moved on to greener pastures, right? I said this staring at my ceiling this morning before I was getting up to go to the gym. I said the biggest media personality in HBCU sports right now is none other than our man, and we got him on our show, Mr. Stephen Campbell. There's nobody doing more content. There's nobody more busier. There's nobody that's on these airways quite like my man, Stephen Campbell. And I got to ask you, Steve, how does it feel to be the big dog in the HBCU media space?
Listen, first of all, thank you for the lie. Because if you look at the comments, as they told me and Zoe, we need to keep our day jobs and wear Scotty. So, that was one. But I told her, I appreciate you watching. That's what he told me and Zoe, to keep our day job. But, man, listen, man, I want to sit back and Coach Cole, this is one of the things, and Rocky, I think me and you are similar. We are fans of sports. We are fans of the mechanics of sport. We're fans of coaches. And like I said, again, somebody who watched Coach Cole play, as I sit back and think about it, and to have the opportunity to talk to these amazing coaches. And I think the bigger thing, and again, you talk about a T-Jack interview that's got 6,000, 7,000 views. Coach Quinn Gray has got 3,000 views. And I'm talking about just in certain segments. I'm not talking about overall. Just recently that has just happened, that people are quoting and looking at it and things like that to have the opportunity, because this is the best outlet for HBCU coaches. The best, and the thing about it, you get stuff out of here because, Rocky, and Coach, we make news on this show. There are things that are said that, wait a minute, did he just say that?
Yeah, they write articles about it, Coach. They don't give us credit, though. They write articles about it.
Yeah.
So those are things that, I appreciate it. So again, on the keeping the channel going and things like that, man, listen, the people want it. We have content to give them. I hope they appreciate it. Rocky and I will do a show. Coach, we know this is your time that you got to move around and set things up for us in the fall. So we know in the background, we know what you're doing and things like that. But I want to tell you how much I appreciate you. And then again, we getting ready to bring up, we get to bring some other people on our platform and allow them to talk because they know some of the things that they got going on. So I'm super excited about, a guy that we're going to bring on to help us to talk this basketball because, on HBCU Coaches Corner, Coach, it's knowledge over on this side. It's knowledge.
Right.
Campbell, sometimes hosting this show with a swag legend is humbling sometimes. And we just got humble a few minutes ago, right? You called Coach Smith, no answer. I called Coach Smith, get no answer. And when Coach Cole called right in front of us, right on the air, he picked up on one ring, Coach. Sometimes we get humbled in this space. Let us know that why this show is called HBCU Coaches Corner, hosted by Johnnie Cole. Because we don't move nothing in comparison to Coach Cole. A lot of these guys come on just because of the relationships and literally the charisma and the connection that he had with these guys. And Coach Cole, I got to agree with Campbell. None of this would be possible without your connections and your you lending your face, name, and education to this platform. And I want to personally thank you for allowing me to take this ride with you, man, because it's been sensational for me as a football fan.
Well, hopefully the ride gets better and a lot more smoother as we go into the fall, and I think we're getting big enough that maybe we could take on basketball as well. We still looking for some sponsors and things like that, and we're gonna have a bigger show I think in April. We're gonna do the show live. We're gonna do a
we probably are gonna do a live show, and we got big plans. We got big things coming that we're gonna put together. But yeah, we definitely gonna do a show down there live for sure.
Right. And that show is gonna be in Prairie View, Texas.
Yeah.
We're gonna really find out who Tremaine Jackson is, Coach Jackson, and he's giving us the freeway that he's gonna open up his home to us, as well as the university and his football program. So I think it'd be interesting and it'd be good for us. And we're just looking forward to that day. And we're also in talks with Mickey Joseph up at Grambling. So we might be able to do it twice before the summer's out.
Oh, that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be cool. Yeah. It's football season over here on HBCU Coaches Corner year round. But right now, we got some big things going on. And if we're gonna talk about hoops in the HBCU space, there's only one man that you can bring on to discuss this with. None other than our friend to the show, HBCU basketball guru, none other than my man, Herb Seward.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys, man. Thank you, man. I'm humbled. Very, very humbled to have that introduction, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're the guru, Herb. And again, this is the biggest basketball show we've ever had. To get a guy like Nolan Smith on the show with us and talk to him, considering what he has done in a very short time at Tennessee State. I'd like to get you to start this conversation off, Herb. For our listeners to put this in context, what Coach Smith has done, considering he got the job in July, and now he's sitting in March. He's sitting as at top of the regular season standings and also the OVC tournament champion.
Well, first and foremost, man, this interview, gives me a warm spot in my heart being a DMV guy, because Nolan Smith, anybody that's familiar with, basketball in the DC metropolitan area knows about Nolan Smith. Started out at St. John's in the WCAC, went on to Oak Hill to play in his career, had a really, really solid career at Duke. And he made his bones in PG County and in the DC metro area. So to me, man, this interview, having him come on the show is solid, man. It's solid being, having been in that ecosystem of basketball myself. What he's done at Tennessee State, in a conference like the OVC, which, folks, coined the term mid-major a whole lot, but the OVC year in and year out is pretty competitive. Whether you're talking about Morehead State, whether you're talking about, Southeastern Missouri or Tennessee Tech or some of these other UT Martin or some of these other schools that have come out there during the tournament, they've had some notable upsets out of the OVC over the years in the tournament. So, the competition there is solid. So for him to come into that league in his first year, put together staff that he's put together, and more importantly, really make the moves that he made, in the recruiting, in the portal and on the recruiting realm in the off season coming into the season, and for them to gel the way they did is huge. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's over, this is the first NCAA bid in over 20 years for, Tennessee State to make the big dance. And they, real talk, they did it in dominating fashion. The last half of the season, Tennessee State was on it. They were legit in terms of just locking down their opponents, making them play the game that they want to play. You know, backcourt that they had with, you know, backcourt rotation they had with Nkrumah and Harper, and Dante Harris, which, you know, if anybody's familiar with Dante Harris, man, dude started out at Georgetown, you know, was Big East tournament, you know, most outstanding player. And the fact that Nolan was able to pull him in the portal, man, is amazing to have him come to an HBCU to play. So, yeah, I'm really eager to see, to have him on the show and to just explain his journey, man, because there's a lot, to it. There's a lot to that fraternity in terms of where he's been at, what his coaching influences have been. Obviously with Duke and Coach K, and there's a DC connection with some of the other Duke folks with Kenny Blakeney over at Howard. That's another really solid program that's coming out of the MEAC. So yeah, man, I'm just all the way around, I'm really excited for the show.
Wow.
Yeah, Herb. How does I know Coach Cole has done some turnaround jobs in his career. Can you give us an idea of what the program was? Obviously they lost their coach. So can you give an idea of what the program was like before this year? Because I'm just getting abreast of the program, and Nolan Smith is everything, is everything that the program is about. But what it was like, what it's been like the past 20 years, not making the tournament, and and the other thing I know about it is because of a documentary that was put together for, I forget the player's name that went to Tennessee State.
Robert
Covington. Yeah. I watched the documentary, and Covington was a Tennessee State alumnus. So other than that, that's all I know. So can you bring some of our viewers up to speed of what the program was before Coach Smith got there?
Yeah, well, first, I'll preface this by saying that before Coach Smith got there, Penny Collins, who was the head coach at Tennessee State, did an excellent job there. So I want to make this distinction before I analyze what Rocky just put out there, because Tennessee State was extremely competitive in the OVC prior to Coach Smith getting there. Simply because he was able to recruit, in that region. If I'm not mistaken, his ties were more so in that region of Tennessee, Memphis area, the state. And he recruited that way. He recruited from, through the portal and out of high schools to fill that roster through the state. He did well in the transfer portal. I think the last class he had there, I think Aaron Nkrumah, who's like, all OVC guard, was a holdover from that, from his last roster. Before the transition to Coach Smith. So, I want to put that out there, because I think a lot of the foundation that was there prior to him, prior to Coach Smith getting there, the cupboard wasn't bare. And that's a testament to, what Penny Collins did and what he laid there. Now, that being said, this run, in this first season, Tennessee State hasn't seen that. They haven't seen that in the OVC since their membership in it. And that says a lot, even back in Covington's days where they were ultra competitive and, they had tourney bids under their belt. The way that Tennessee State has played the game this year, and more importantly, the way they've gone through the OVC when conference play started, they just really imposed their will on people. Game after game. I think they went 15, 16-5 in the regular season. Won the regular season championship and won the tournament championship outright. So, that's the first time in Tennessee State history that's ever happened in the OVC. And like I said, that speaks volumes, because the OVC as a conference is a tough place to play. There's not an easy game. There's not an easy road game. They're not easy home games. It's a dogfight, every night. So the job he's done in that regard, in terms of historically, is a really, really impressive job. I'm excited to see how they turn out and where they're seated at in the big dance.
And just as we as you kind of wrap up, giving us an idea of what the program was like prior to Coach Smith coming on board. I'd like to, at this time, turn it over to Mr. Campbell and allow him to give a proper introduction to our next guest. You're on mute, Coach. You're on mute.
Coach? You mean Campbell?
Campbell, you're on mute. Oh, I can't hear you.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yep.
Sorry about that. But, you know, man, and Coach, I'm going to say this. I want to thank you because it is HBCU Coaches Corner, and it's about coaches. And this young man who's somebody who I actually watched his father play and dominate, and we're going to talk about that at University of Louisville. You're talking about a national champion, ACC Player of the Year, and now OVC regular season champ, conference champ, tournament champ, and OVC Coach of the Year, the one and only Nolan Smith.
Yes, sir. DMV is good with me.
What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Hey, man, it's good to have you on the show, Coach.
Man, great to be here.
Coach, we trying to, we got a lot of people on, so we try to work it out. So that's why we kind of get a screen on. But Coach, first of all, we want to thank you for being on and things like that. You have done an amazing job. And, you know, we're going to ask you to take us through your journey. And one of the things we're really excited about, because as they say, coaching is, as they say, in your blood and around your bloodline. And yep. I do want to start from the beginning of a little history lesson, because I think with a lot of people, they know you from Duke. But as somebody, and I think this is important, because I think this is a person that, and you've talked about this, who meant a lot in your life. Your father, Derek Smith.
Yes.
Now, for people to know, Nolan's father was an amazing basketball player and was part of the Doctors of Dunk at Louisville.
One of the best historic teams out there, boy.
Thank you. And played in 3 Final Fours with the Rodney McCray, Scooter McCrays, and guys like that. And word on the street is that your father actually created the high five. Now, is this true that your father was the innovator of the high five?
That's what they say. They said they made it popular back in the day. I've heard the stories. I talked to Wally Brown. He said it's true.
So you're talking about somebody and your father coached in the NBA. Yep. And for you to then go and have a tremendous career. And come on, what made you, after you transitioned and you played the NBA, that made you say, you know what, coaching is something I want to do?
I think just always wanting to follow in my dad's footsteps in almost every way, especially with his passing. That was kind of like my life mission, to do exactly as my dad did. So I always knew once the ball stopped bouncing for me, I wanted to become a coach.
Now, Coach, when you say you wanted to become a coach, now one of the things that people know, and you're very famous for playing at one of the most prestigious basketball schools in the nation, Duke University. Now, Coach, my family's from North Carolina, so I do have to tease you. They're big Carolina fans. But the thing about it, if you're a Carolina fan, you know every Duke player. That's just 100%.
Yep.
And you have so much respect. When you transitioned from the NBA, what was that conversation with Coach K to say, you know what, Coach, this is my path? And how did Coach K really bring you on and bring you to start coaching?
Yeah, so he molded me perfectly, right? So when I tore my ACL and was back at Duke doing my rehab, I ended up tearing it again, same knee, meniscus on both sides after a full year of rehab. So one day I was sitting in the training room, and Coach Capel came in and said, "Hey, Coach K wants to talk to you. I think he wants to talk to you about your next steps and just see where you're at with basketball and coaching." So then Coach K, I went and met with him, and he said, "Hey, I don't want to rush you into stop playing. I know you can rehab and get back stronger." He's like, "But if you want right now, I want to make you my special assistant and start your coaching career under us if that's something you'd want to do." So, you know, at that moment, obviously I was frustrated with my knee and the way it was rehabbing. It wasn't going 100% the way I thought it would. And I just prayed about it, talked to my pastors and all my spiritual mentors and all of those people, and then came to a decision that I wanted to start my coaching journey. So I started as special assistant, and then probably the best thing that I think Coach K did for me was he made me the director of basketball operations, which was a job that I didn't think I could do or wanted to do because it had to do with like the behind the scenes, but it was really him just teaching me the business and how to run a program and what it takes to be a head coach. And then finally I became an assistant coach under him for basically 2 years, 1 year with the COVID year, and then the last year, which we went to the Final Four. But just being in all these different roles, I learned everything, and the Dobo role really taught me how to be a head coach.
Yeah, man, I think that's solid, man. I gotta admit, man, I'm a little bit torn. I got a little bit of mixed loyalties here, because as a Maryland fan, growing up watching Maryland basketball,
Hey, Rocky, I can hear.
and seeing Nolan Smith leave the area and go to Duke at one point in time was kind of hard to see. But now that he's back in the space, man. It does my heart good, because it people that are familiar with the basketball story of kids that come from out of our area know that basketball in the DC metropolitan area, PG County, and DC proper.
I can hear your. Can you hear me?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, long story short, man, folks that follow recruiting and follow AAU basketball and follow basketball in general in the DC metro area are familiar with, who Nolan Smith is and the journey he took to get to Duke, the recruiting battles you've been through, the connections you made, and, the playing career that you had. One of those things that really struck me about the job that you've done this season is that the first thing, when we followed this at HBCU Nightly and HBCUs Weekly, we noticed who you brought in on staff. There was a distinct DC metropolitan feel to that staff, with DeMar Johnson and Coach Hill.
Yep.
What prompted you to put that staff together, constructed the way that you did, and how effective has that been for you in terms of recruiting and attracting kids this first season?
Man, it's really been perfect, right? I think I've really, I'll say I hit a home run on my first hiring process, right? And I say that because I got 100% guys around me that I'm comfortable with, that are family, but they're not family that's just a bunch of yes men, right? They're going to challenge me. And our staff meetings are great because we have conversation, we have basketball dialogue, we talk about the game, we talk what we can do, shouldn't do, what we should change. And Delonte being under Frank Martin and Coach Turgeon, Vince Taylor obviously is the OG former Duke player, been under Rick Pitino and Tubby Smith, and was with the Timberwolves. He's been at probably to 10 different schools, 15 different schools. DeMar Johnson, what he did as a player, been in Cincinnati coach and been in West Virginia. And then the last guy, who's obviously a guy I kept on, but Brandon Lockridge, the best part about him is he's been great for our staff, but he wore the jersey, right? So there's a sense of pride there. There's a sense of right. I don't know if I ain't gonna say he cares more than us, but when you wore the jersey, you know how much it means to a coach that wore the jersey. Just like when I was coaching at Duke, his mom was a dean on campus for many years. He was a snotty-nosed little kid running around campus, right? So, our embrace after the championship meant everything to me because I knew how much it meant to him, right? And that's special. And what he's done on this staff has been big time. So, again, just our camaraderie that we've been able to build quickly, right? Getting together just like with building the team. I'm sure we'll get to that. But with the coaching staff, to have a great and close staff is everything. And we were able to really do it. And, again, these – from being at the high majors and NBA levels to just the care factor with Coach Locke has been just a perfect group.
Yeah, I mean that means a lot, man. I think ultimately, it shows in the way that you've constructed that roster, who you were able to put on, on this year's team. The real eye opener for me obviously was pulling, Dante Harris, man. It's not often that we see, Big East's most outstanding players at HBCU programs.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that, that guard rotation that you have with Harris and Nkrumah and Harper, those guys have been lights out all year. Yeah. And, Harris stirs the drink. Every time I've seen him play, he's controlled tempo. He's been able to initiate offense regardless of what kind of pressure's on him. And it's been a real joy to watch that team, grow into the personality that you've instilled in them.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, my next question. What did you envision in terms of your playing style, in terms of your philosophy in this first season for your team?
Yeah. Well, first let me say, much love to Coach Penny Collins, because, he had a bunch of these guys here for me. When I looked at the roster, I was excited about, a couple of these guys that were part of last year's team. I remember I reached out to Kenny Blakely and Tyler Thornton because they had played them last year. I was like, man, what do you think about these two guys? Aaron Nakuma and Travis Harper. He's like, man, they're good. They're good. They got some talent. I'm like, okay, cool. So then when I watched them the last 2 weeks of the summertime when I was here was, all right, well, I think the key piece I'm missing is a true veteran point guard. And it just so happened that Dante Harris was available, and I knew that he would come in, and obviously he's played at the highest level, but I knew he would be the glue because he's a winner, right? So adding a proven winner to a group like this was the perfect ingredient to put this thing all together. Coming in first, I'll start with the defense, and the defense has been a work in progress. Started out, we were an offensive team that was finding ways to win games. The defense was just okay. But we played so much defense from the first day I got on campus. I'm a shell drill you to death. Like we're gonna play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, kind of old school, right? I think this generation is they miss that, right? They don't play enough. I don't know if it's a thing where they don't want to get embarrassed or what, but I put that in my guys right away. We're gonna play 1-on-1. You're gonna learn how to guard your yard. And if you don't learn to guard your yard, you're going to get embarrassed in practice where we're just going to throw different guys at you. You're going to get scored on. If you keep getting scored on, then you just won't play. So we've worked on it. So, again, it got better as the year went on, and now we're the defensive team that we are today is exactly what I thought we would become because we're athletic. So, we've talked about our defense. We press, we get up and down. All year long we've been one of the top 10 teams in the country in steals and getting deflections and just wreaking havoc. That's what we want to do and the reason why we want to do that is because we want to play fast. So if you're turning teams over, again, I want to score 80 or 90 points a game. I want to score 80 or 90. So we want to push tempo and get up and down, and these guys have really bought into it. And the last piece was learning how to take great shots. You can play fast. You can play fast and take bad shots. No, we want to play fast and still find great shots. And that's another area where we've grown this year. We learned how to value the ball. We've become one of the best teams in taking care of the ball in our league. And then we became one of the teams that was always finding great shots. Now, Aaron Nakuma and Travis Harper, they've earned the right. They're going to take a couple heat checks every now and then.
Yeah, well, I'm telling them we're able to see that.
Hey, they got, and I give them that freedom because, when they do take them, they typically go in. But these guys have really grown in both areas. Defensively, offensively, as the years gone on.
Yeah,
hey, Coach, I want to bring in Coach Cole because Coach Smith, I tell you what, you and him have something in common. Our feature host, Coach Cole, who was again the football coach, but also played basketball at Texas. He actually coached football with his brother and won a championship like yourself at Tennessee State. So I want to bring because we have some kindred souls here. We have a OVC championship basketball coach, and we have OVC championship football coach. So I wanted Coach to talk to you from the Tennessee State side. Yep. And Coach, I want to bring you in because you've been at Tennessee State. You part of that building block. Again, athletics as coaches, it works hand in hand. Football and basketball work hand in hand as the opening. So I'm gonna bring Coach Cole in because I know he wants to talk to you about again his background with Tennessee State and what he's seen from what you're doing as coach.
Well, I know being a McDonald's All-American and being top of your game. And, I know you didn't know that Tennessee State is a football place. You actually played ball at a basketball place. So, it's kind of like the flip-flop. But Tennessee State has had some great football players that come out of there. Now, there's two things that when your father was at Louisville, I was in Louisville at the basketball camp with Daryl, Doc, those guys, and your dad. And I actually set a assist record there. And your dad pulled a stunt out on me. I kind of fell asleep, and they put some shaving cream in my hand and tickled my nose, and I end up. But that was the big joke out there. But and the other thing, you remember a guy named Nolan Cole? That's my nephew.
Absolutely.
You beat him out. You know, so I'm a little uptight at that. So I don't got the shaving cream. Then you beat my nephew out. But man, I just can't say enough about you taking the time out to speak with us. Number one, it's been kind of my thing, Coach Smith, that you know us as Black coaches, we don't have a platform, especially in the HBCU realm. And I don't know that you understand that we just so appreciate it that you take time out your day, you know, to give us this opportunity in this interview, because we usually don't get guys like you that comes out. And that just tells me who you are and what you're about. And the question I have, you've been under some great coaches, Penny Holloway, Coach K. Out of those two guys, what did you pick up, or what did you have in them? I hear you talked about defense, and I know these young guys don't play it like we used to during the day. They're afraid of it. I'm a PE teacher as well, and I see the guys, they do not want to challenge each other.
Yeah.
What did you do, or were those some things that you picked up coaching up underneath them too, and actually playing up under Coach K?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned a lot from both, a whole lot. Coach K, you know, just from a standpoint of how he gives confidence to his best players, tells them all to follow their instincts, and just tries to do his best, just put every player in different situations and basically knowing where they need the ball to score. Coach Hardaway was really good at I picked up a lot of defense from Coach Hardaway. A lot of defense, because me and him saw eye to eye, because he loved to press and I love to press. He loved junk defenses. I love junk defenses. Love to keep people off balance. So
you guys can go.
Go ahead, Coach Smith. Go ahead and finish your statement.
Coach, our defense, I mean, we saw eye to eye, and then just from a mindset, you know, Penny Hardaway being one of the greatest point guards of all time, you know, he was a guard coach, and when we put guys in situations, you know, he gave a lot of freedom offensively, and that's kind of my mindset as well. You know, you let guys hoop and just teach them how to play the game the right way. And you give freedom. You know, I don't think in the country that wouldn't want to play for Coach Hardaway.
Coach, I'm gonna let Rocky get in here, but I want, because you started this journey. Now, we talked about the Louisville connection. Coach brought it back. Now, Coach Kenny Payne brought you to Louisville. You left Duke, and he went. Talk about how you ended up at Tennessee State in July. How was that connection that you went from, you know, working with someone that knew your father, Coach Kenny Payne, who was a legend in Mississippi and was, you know, played well up in Louisville, and then you say with Coach Howard. But how did you, at that late call in July, get the call to be the coach of Tennessee State?
Yeah, so man, it was crazy. It happened fast too. I mean, like we were preparing to. I mean, I was already working with the guys in Memphis right now. Like in July, I'm working with the guys. We're doing individual workouts, and I leave out of my office one day, and I get a call from my agent. He's like, "What do you think about Tennessee State?" I said, "In Nashville?" He goes, "Yeah, right up the road." I go, "HBCU." I said, "This is something I've always wanted." And I said, "Well, it ain't Howard and it's not Central, but this one." I said, "What league they in?" He goes, "Ohio Valley." I'm like, "I like that league." I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So he calls Dr. Allen, and Dr. Allen said, "Well, I have a real short list." And he goes, "Well, who's on your list?" He goes, "Nolan Smith." My agent said, "Well, that's what I'm calling you about." So about 24, 48 hours, I was actually planning on being in Nashville that weekend with my wife, hanging out with some friends from Louisville, meeting halfway, and we ended up setting up a dinner. And from there, I mean, it was pretty much locked in.
Hey, that's an amazing story. I got a question. By the way, my name is Rocky. I must admit, back in the day when the Duke Blue Devils beat UNLV in the national championship game or in the Final Four, I've been a Duke hater ever since. So my apologies, but but I mean, because that was my score. And not only that, Nolan, they come right back and beat my other favorite team, the Fab Five.
Fab Five, yeah.
So I mean, it was almost a balled up fist hate for Duke, man. But you're such a cool guy, and I appreciate you coming on the show. It really means a lot to us.
Of course, appreciate you.
Now you say that you have always wanted to coach at HBCU, and that's one of the things that's kind of different that I've heard in this regard. Yep. Most of the guys who coach on the HBCU level tend to stay on the HBCU in the HBCU circuit.
Yeah.
I guess you came over with no fear of that. Like you came over here wanting to be here, and just can you explain what appealed to you about being at a HBCU?
Everything. I mean, just being a guy who played at probably the whitest PWI of them all. My uncle played at Howard, so I was going to Howard games when I was young. So just being around it, and then going to Central all the time when I was a student, going back over there when I was a coach, hanging out. I mean, a lot of my family in Durham now, they all Eagles, right? They all. I mean, when you come back to Durham to hang out with us, like that's family. So just being around the HBCUs, I mean, it was just always something like, man, like, why don't we go to HBCU? So I started having those conversations a long time ago. Like, man, what would it have been like if I went to, and everybody like, man, shut up, man, you went to Duke. Like, what are you talking about? I started asking, but what if we did though? Like, man, how can we change the game? What can we do to get some top players to go to HBCUs, right? And during Black Lives Matter, right, 2020, everybody started bringing up these conversations, and it kind of got some traction. But then now with NIL, if you can get it right, I'm like, why not? Why not? If we can get the funds right, So I think that's where it was very attractive to me to come to this school and do exactly what I've talked about my whole life, which is win. And to come here this year, I mean, it's really been a dream come true to win at a HBCU, go to homecoming, be a part of the culture, throw myself into Tennessee State, and to do something that we hadn't done in 32 years. I mean, it still leaves me speechless to this day. Like, it still hasn't really sunk in what this team did. But we know it's special. We know it's special, and just to be a part of it has really just been surreal, for real.
Yeah, and Coach Smith, man, it's glad well, first and foremost, as somebody that had the opportunity to matriculate at HBCU and play at Alabama State, even though I was a walk-on, I was kind of a scrub. But what you just touched on is really, really important, because it's something that a lot of us in the space, particularly myself, I grew up on basketball, coming from the DC metro area, I played in PG County 4A, man. I played at Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah. He ain't got no more scholarships to give out, man.
I'm way too old for scholarships, bro.
Hey, let's get this straight, Herb. I was going to correct you. Either you were a scrub or you weren't. You can't be kind of a scrub. You understand?
Look, if you walking on to a D1 program, man, there's a little bit of dog in you.
You love the game though, and that's the most important thing.
But shout out to Ray Brewer and Darnell Dotson.
Man, listen,
Nolan
knows, but but I think, it's important that what you just touched on, man, because I think a lot of times people have looked at our basketball product in the HBCU space at the D1 and D2 level, and there's a misnomer for a lot of kids that come out of are coming out of the our areas and really high traffic areas for AAU and prep basketball, just in terms of visibility. What can you tell kids out there that are going through the recruiting process and going through the evaluation process for programs about the quality of HBCU basketball? Because I think that's something that's very important. I'm a firm believer is that if you can go, you can go. You're gonna get seen, regardless of, where you ball out at. What has been your experience, being in that environment first as a head coach and influencing those decisions and being able to, be a messenger and be an ambassador for HBCU basketball?
Yeah, man, it's really a thing where it's like, I hear people say, "Oh man, HBCU basketball." Like, what's HBCU basketball? It's basketball. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? And like, even this year, we go get our butts kicked at Alabama A&M. There's big time coaches in the SWAC, in the MEAC, here, right? There's big time coaches at all these schools. So if you want an opportunity to play basketball, go hoop, right? And our coaches are gonna let you hoop, right? And I think it starts with the parents right now, right? All the moms and dads, y'all are hunting these opportunities for your child to go play basketball, and you're only looking at PWIs, and then your son's going there and he's not gonna play. They're gonna force him to redshirt. And if you're a talented young fella, why not go hoop as a freshman and a sophomore? And if you want to transfer out and go challenge yourself at the Power 5 level, then go do it when you're probably really ready to play. So that's where I think right now we can really take advantage of this and really arm up all the HBCUs with a lot of talent, with the young fellas out there all over the country that are just looking for opportunity to hoop. Because at the end of the day, with that, you're going to raise your value. If you want money, go put up numbers and raise your value, and then you're gonna get a bigger number when your time is ready.
Coach Smith, I gotta ask you, being that you're a first-year coach, I don't know if you have a theory on recruiting or whatever. It seemed like the coaches in basketball who are willing to mold and shape the more mature players into a team are willing to take that risk, willing to take the risk of experienced players and try to build a team that way, are having tremendous success in this era, in the NIL era of basketball. Explain to me what your recruiting philosophy is, and then also going forward is, what do you think? Why do you think the more mature players who weren't as, I guess, touted early, end up being so effective later in their career, in their college career?
Yep. So for me, my philosophy is I want a good mixture of everything, right? I want a couple good transfers. I want a couple guys that are returning guys, which were probably freshmen or sophomores, to be in the program for a while. And then I want some high school kids. I want the high school kids because I still want to mold. I still want to groom. I still want to get them better. I had a couple young kids this year, freshmen, that I told them, hey, I don't know what I'm going to call your name, but keep working every day, and we're gonna player develop you. We're gonna get you better. And one of them is really good. And he ended up about 10 games in getting thrown into the fire. Right? I'm not afraid to play a freshman because I'm gonna put confidence in all my freshmen back. They're gonna be confident when they get out there because they're gonna get the reps in practice. So I want a good mixture, and I do want a couple freshmen that are okay with coming in redshirting. You have to be okay with that because it's not a slight. It does not mean that you're not ready. It doesn't mean that you really can't play. It just means you can't help us right now. Because at the end of the day, as a coach, we have to win right now. That's just the climate that we're in. But again, if I'm developing, I'm getting these young fellas better, and I get the older guys and a group of guys that are bought in on winning, everybody's going to really grow and become a better version of themselves. So that's kind of our view as far as how we want to build a roster. I would say I'm not one of those guys that I don't want 15 transfers. I think that's a headache. I think that's a headache. Because you got to rebuild, you got to remold, you got to teach everything. So I think whenever I get to a point where my thing is 4 years, that's what it would look like.
And the last thing I want to ask is, how in this NIL pay for play era is HBCU basketball so darn talented? Like this season, everyone talks about HBCU basketball being as talented as it's ever been before. How is it happening when it's pay for play? And we all know that HBCUs are typically low resource institutions. Why are those kids with that kind of talent at HBCUs in an era where they can go get paid for their talent?
Man, because hey, look, I know there's a bunch of kids at Eleanor Roosevelt right now that would love to come play for 10,000.
Bro.
Hey, play for 10,000, 15,000. So at the end of the day, it might not be what Duke has, but 10,000 is 10,000. You mean tell me I get to come hoop for 10,000, 15, 8? Yeah, come. I think that's where, again, if Cookman, whatever their number is, it might not be where they're paying. They got $2 million budget, but if they have a $100,000 budget to go build a roster, these kids they're getting some money, right? So that's where I think you're gonna find a lot of talent everywhere, as long as they can put some money in these youngest pockets.
Yeah, I think every all you need is a basketball and 2 hoops. Everybody play basketball everywhere.
Right.
I rep Nolan here in the Arizona area, and I mean they got schools everywhere. Everywhere is an empty building. There's a school and a gym, so everybody plays basketball here. So I guess there's some kids that ain't on that big money market, but like you said, want to play. I say, Coach, going into this week, this tournament, how many have you been to? About you know how to go to the tournament, what to do. You got advantage on some people, and I tell you what, if I know they're gonna give you number 1 and number 2 and number 3 in the country, shit, I'll be scared.
15, 14,
one thing about it, your players and you teaching them how to go about this coming into the tournament. I mean, your kids is gonna be, I know, mentally ready as well as physically ready.
Yeah, and the big thing is mentally ready, and I'll tell y'all the message I gave them today. We took Sunday off and Monday off. Today was our first day getting back in the gym with some individual work and some conditioning. When we huddled up after, I said, look, I'm gonna give y'all one message. We start to mentally prepare for what's to come. I said, we're not a Cinderella, and we daggone sure ain't no underdog. If anybody tells you that, tell them to leave you alone.
That's right.
As soon as you get that in your mind that you're a Cinderella or underdog, you lose.
Yeah.
So in your experience, being at Duke, walking into the stadium, you can hear the talk about what they used to say about the other teams who would play you guys.
Yes.
You can see the if y'all jumped up by 2 or 3, you can see them put their head down.
You can see the body language, and that's where I'm so excited to go to war with my team. Adversity, it doesn't bother us. We're resilient. In tough times during the game, we don't waver. We can be down 8, we can be down 12. This group of guys is so mentally tough. They do not waver. So as long as our minds stay sharp, we stay focused. Again, I want us to be excited and I want us to enjoy the moment. But when we walk in that game for walk in that arena for game time, we're gonna go in that thing and be us. We're gonna play fast. AK and Travis gonna take their heat checks, and we're gonna press and we're gonna defend and we're gonna be us. And that's why I told you we're gonna be us. And I think when you go into this thing, that's what you got to do. You got to be yourself.
Yeah,
I feel it in you, Coach, and I see it in you. And then I see that you 6'2" and you played at Duke. You must have been really tenacious. Where did you get that from? And I can feel it. I'm a coach now. I can feel it. That's the way you coach as well. Where did you get that, and when did you feel like I belong here at Duke?
Look, I got it from a lot of places. I got it from PG County. Yes, I got it from playing down Berry Farm, Southeast DC, playing outside growing up. I got it from stories about my dad. I mean, Juwan Howard, Charles Barkley, all my dad's old friends, and Kenny Smith. Anybody that played with him, they tell me, man, your dad was as tough as they come.
Was like that.
So all them stories have just been ingrained in me, so I could just have that same mindset.
Yeah, man. I think I wanna give the folks that are watching and in the chat a little bit of a primer as to what they can expect from Tennessee State, on the court, because I know watching you guys this year, particularly down the stretch of the regular season and into the tournament season, you guys, I know we touched on it earlier in terms of the defensive job that you guys did on people in terms of shutting them down. There's one game that stood out to me against the second game against Southeastern Missouri State.
Yep.
And they got this kid, I'm not going to butcher his last name because we're on the show. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
But that guy was one of the better offensive weapons in the entire OVC during the course of the season. And that second game that you guys played at their place, man, you guys completely shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
What was your, you and the staff, what was your train of thought in terms of, being, having that type of effect on a team that you guys had problems with earlier in the season?
Yep. So the best thing we did against him, sometimes the best defense is to have better offense. So we basically picked on him and got his butt on the bench because we saw that he couldn't guard. So that's one way you take out a scorer who really doesn't want to guard. So when we did that kind of neutralized him and what he does on the offensive end. But again, it's just having a high sense of awareness on the offense because he's a big time shooter. We say, hey, look, first game he came in the game and had 12 quick points off the bench. Second time, heighten that awareness, he gets nothing. He gets no threes. You do not leave him. And then at that point in the season, our attention to detail and the scouts was just getting sharper and getting better, and we're able to take him away. But that's kind of where we are with our scouts. If we want to take a guy out of the game, we're going to come up with some type of game plan to make sure that person doesn't hurt us and somebody else has to beat us.
Yeah, Coach, I want to ask you a question and bring it back to a bigger picture that Rocky kind of touched on. And we talk about your Duke background, and one of the things that I saw, we hear about the Duke brotherhood, which is a real thing. But I saw so many Duke-led feeds that was celebrating that you had won the championship with the OVC and how proud they were, the whole Duke family. The university, basketball feed made a post and things like that.
Yeah. Because
you are a known entity, and we talk about this on the football side, there's this thing where we hear about the celebrity coach. Of course, on the football side, it was Deion saying you are a well-known person. Again, Duke is a well-known entity. You play in the NBA. How has that helped you far as potentially recruiting, far as fundraising and things like that because of your status playing at, again, one of the preeminent basketball schools that people know your background, ACC Player of the Year, National Champion, coach with Coach K. How has that helped you because again, as we talked about, Rocky talked about, we are, as they say, we are trying to gain resources and things like that. But how has that helped you in recruiting for being who you are and also fundraising as you try to put together NIL packages?
Yeah, it definitely helps. So I guess you could say what I did on the court helps me. It helps me a lot. But the biggest thing that helps me do what I need to do is just being humble and being a good man. My mom wouldn't have it any other way. So just being able to walk into a room and be myself and be approachable, being able to have a conversation with anybody. I'll talk. That's just me. That's how I was raised. So yeah, just being a good person, having a staff of great guys. Me and my staff have to go to a dinner or event. We all gonna walk in and move the room. That's the business part of it, but then it's also the human part of it. And when you're human and you're a great person, man, you end up getting what you need to be successful.
Coach Smith, again, your story is probably. Your story should probably be a movie, Coach. I'm going to be honest with you. Considering the background of your father, what tragically you had to experience. And it's funny, doing research for this show, this is a monumental year in your life. And I won't go through why it is, being that you're 37. But being 37 years old and making the tournament and really getting the opportunity to put your father's legacy on the big stage. Have you thought about that as you are about to go into this monumental year of your life? And as I see you holding your son right now, it looked like you can multitask pretty good because you knocked him right on out while also conducting the interview. What does that mean in this year of your life to accomplish this, considering the tragedy you experienced when you were a very young boy?
Man, it's very humbling. It just makes me proud. Being able to just enjoy with my family, have my 5-year-old son out there with me on the court, and just that's really it. Just being in the moment and enjoying it. One thing I learned at an early age: tomorrow is not promised. So, when you're able to achieve something like this at such an early age, it's just add it to the list of accomplishments and enjoy it and enjoy it with your family. And again, it's just it's, like you said, like you said, sometimes it feels like it's a movie. It really does. Like when I went in the back and I played my gospel music when I was by myself and I kind of broke down in tears. I'm just like, wow, what did I do to deserve this? Right? What did I do to really deserve this? And I think that's the humbling part to it, where it's just like, look, man, stay humble and just keep working.
Yeah, Coach. My last question. I know we holding you for a while, and
no, y'all good.
And we're going to playing under Coach K, Penny Holloway, and Coach K. He cuss a lot. I've heard he cuss a lot underneath his breath. What are some of the things, or a story or two, that he either said some or wanted you to do something? You say, what is he talking? What does he want? And then now you're a coach, and now you got to look back and say, okay, all right, I understand now what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'd probably say when Coach K cussed at you like that, he was just trying to push a button. And when he knew what buttons to push. So the one button he knew to push for me is he would say something about PG County. As you know, we from PG County. If you hoop in PG County, you got a lot of pride. You got a lot of pride. We say it's in the water. We say it's the hoop county and all of that, right? And he knew. He would say, I'm going to send your soft butt back to PG County. Man, you want to work. I don't know how I came to PG County, got you. I'm going to send you back. Like, just whatever he would say, and he put PG County in it. It's like, what? You talking to me? Man, I'm going to show you. You ain't talking to me. So,
now the kids you coach, do you see some of the stuff in them? And sometimes, it's one thing about a coach, your kids, you can't coach them all the same.
Yeah.
Is there some guys on your team now that you can push a little bit, you can't push?
Yeah. That's definitely just learning your kids, especially this generation. The things that Coach K would say to me and the older generation. Oh yeah, you can't say that now. So our delivery and how we motivate now is a little bit different. But I think our group this year, and hopefully all my groups that are coming, they know it's coming from a place of love, right? So if I'm in your face and I'm challenging you, they know it's coming from a place of love. Like, certain things I definitely won't say, but we know how to challenge and then tell them to go out there and do what they're supposed to be doing at a high level.
Yeah. Now, Coach,
let me ask you one
last question. I'm gonna turn it over. Going into the championship game, playing Moorhead, which is ranked pretty high. Man, Coach, y'all, it's from start to finish.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way again? Knowing your team, you felt we where I want them to be at.
Yeah.
Going in that game, did you know that you guys were just gonna blow them out like that, or you felt that?
I felt great going into the game, and I'll tell you why. When we played them at home, the score was 105-100, which means there was no defense played.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.